He left me at our engagement party for the ugly girl who chased him for 10 years. She jumped off a building to force him into marriage and became his official girlfriend, only for him to discover she was a control freak. Finally, he begged me to get back together, but while I was busy being intimate with David and ignoring him, his phone suddenly rang. He lifted his head from my lips, panting, his brows furrowed with impatience, and pulled his phone irritably from his pocket. "Who the hell is it?" I followed his gaze. It was an unsaved phone number, but we both knew perfectly well whose call it was. Sure enough, he frowned and answered the call, immediately snapping, "Are you effing crazy? Can't you just leave me alone?" I heard low sobbing from the other end of the line. "David, I didn't mean to, but a guy has been following me. I'm so scared." David paused, glanced at me, then said impatiently, "What good does telling me do? Call the police." With that, he hung up on her, crying. "Let's continue," he said, lowering his head in a hurry, as if trying to hide something. But between our lips, I could feel his mind wandering. Even while we were kissing, his brows were tightly furrowed, as if his body was with me, but his mind had drifted somewhere else. A moment later, the phone ringtone sounded again. David looked at me, then picked up the phone again. "I already told you," Kimberly's small voice said. "Please, I'm really scared. He's still following me." Her helpless voice was laced with tears. David shot up, straightening his body abruptly, and asked anxiously, "Where are you?" She said something, and he stood up, grabbed his jacket, and rushed for the door. Just then, he suddenly realized I was still lying in bed watching him and turned to me with some awkwardness. "Sarah, wait for me. She's a girl alone, it's not safe." Without waiting for my reply, he hurried out the door. I watched the closed door quietly, then after a while, slowly pulled the cover. Up. How many times has this happened? I couldn't remember anymore. I had been with David for 7 years, and Kimberly had been clinging to him for 7 years. When David and I first got together in high school, I was the top student, and he was the second best and the school bully. He sat behind me, constantly pulling my ponytail or poking my back. But he would also bring me milk tea and buy me a hot water bottle when I had cramps. At the high school graduation party, David walked up to me, and everyone in the class started cheering him on. I still remembered the boy's flushed cheeks, his eyes filled with stars, astonishingly bright. "Sarah," he looked at me, his eyes full of smiles, "I like you. Do you want to be my girlfriend?" When I said yes, everyone was smiling except for Kimberly. She ran out the door crying, but no one paid attention. Everyone knew that Kimberly liked David. When David and I were laughing and fooling around, she would always be staring at him from a corner. She would buy David milk tea, but he always gave it to me to drink. She would use scented pink stationery to write love letters and slip them into David's desk. But every time, David would tear them up and throw them away. Everyone also knew that David didn't like Kimberly, because she was truly unremarkable. She was plain-looking, her complexion was yellowish and covered in freckles, her eyes were small, and none of her features stood out. She was at the bottom of the class academically, always wearing thick-rimmed glasses and baggy school uniforms, silently folding origami in the corner for David. Compared to us, she was just too ordinary. At the time, I thought Kimberly was just a common little side note in our relationship. David was handsome, and there were so many girls who liked him they could form a long line. I had seen this countless times. David didn't like her, so I figured she would give up quickly, like the others. But I never expected her to chase David for 7 years. From the age of 18 to 25, Kimberly clung to David like a persistent spirit, always hovering around. First, she enrolled in a community college in the same city as us and brought David breakfast every day. After graduation, she pulled some strings to find a job and stay in the city, constantly calling David about every little thing. At first, I didn't care. Kimberly posed no real competition to me. David genuinely found her annoying. He cursed at her, told her to get lost, blocked her. At his cruelest, he even yelled at her, "Are you pathetic or what? I said I don't like you. Can't you understand basic human language? Have some dignity, you're a girl. Don't you have any self-respect?" But Kimberly didn't seem to care. She would come back again and again. but I didn't know when. I felt like everything changed. I rolled over and looked at the ceiling. When did it start? David stopped blocking Kimberly. His attitude was still bad, but he answered her every phone call. Now, one sentence from her, and he'd leave me to rush to her. I told myself I was probably overthinking. Compared to me, Kimberly was neither pretty nor outstanding. She hadn't changed much from high school. She was still the glasses-wearing girl with a face full of freckles, working as an office worker at a small company, earning $3,500 a month. Meanwhile, I was a freelance model in college and was now an executive assistant at a public company. I glanced sideways at the cold bed sheet beside me. David had left in such a hurry that the sheet was wrinkled. David wouldn't like her, right? I thought. David didn't come back all night. My heart slowly sank in the darkness until he pushed open the door the next morning, looking disheveled and tired. She's such an idiot. His single sentence choked off anything I wanted to say. He sat beside me, complaining angrily. You wouldn't believe it, she was just playing games. Someone is following me, what a load of crap. I told her, who the hell would follow her looking like that? His attitude eased my heart a little. I leaned closer and asked, I think she's really affecting our life. Can you just ignore her next time? David smiled bitterly. I don't want to deal with her. She keeps calling me from different numbers, there's no way to stop it. Don't worry, we're getting engaged soon. I'll definitely talk to her clearly. She's just too annoying. I nodded, but when I looked down, I saw David was only wearing the t-shirt from last night. His jacket was missing. Where's your jacket? I frowned. Oh, he said carelessly, probably left it at her place. Don't want it. Can't be bothered to deal with her again. We didn't invite Kimberly to David's and my engagement party. No one knew what kind of crazy stunt she might pull, and because of her, we didn't even dare to post about it on our social media feed, only informing friends privately. However, she somehow found out and still came. As I stood by the entrance with David, greeting guests, she walked over and gave a miserable smile. 7 years of dating, finally achieving a happy ending. Congratulations. She seemed to have put on makeup today, but it only made her look worse than before. Her eyebrows were thick and black, her lips bright red, the freckles were covered, but she was deathly pale, like a paper effigy, quite frightening. But she was wearing a white dress/gown, as if she were the protagonist of this engagement, and the jacket draped over her shoulders looked familiar. It was David's jacket. My smile faded, but I still said politely, thank you, and I hope you find your happiness soon too. Kimberly didn't reply, just stared directly at David. David's eyes didn't hold the familiar annoyance, but a complex mix of emotions. What are you doing here? Don't be afraid, Kimberly forced a smile, I just came to see. If I can't have you, I can at least wish you well. Her expression was desolate, and even David couldn't say anything harsh. AF. After she left, Emily pulled me aside and said gleefully, holy crap, did you see her face? It scared me to death. I feel so sorry for your David, being bothered by someone like that for so long. He must have nightmares. I forced a smile, but I couldn't quite manage it. For some reason, I felt a sense of unease, as if something had gone beyond my control. I said softly, do you think David might like Kimberly? His expression just now felt off, but I couldn't pinpoint what was wrong. I just felt like David's attitude towards Kimberly seemed to have changed. Oh, come on, Emily rolled her eyes. Someone like David has seen all kinds of beautiful women. If he liked Kimberly, that would be absolutely crazy. Her? 5 feet 2 inches with bow legs and a face full of pimples, you're insulting David by even suggesting it. I clenched my hands, taking a deep breath. Yes, I was much better than Kimberly. I believed David would know how to choose. Besides, we had been together for 7 years, our relationship had gone beyond lovers, becoming like family, impossible to abandon. I should trust him. When we went to the classmates' private room for giving a toast, I wore my engagement dress and held David's arm, smiling. Thank you all for coming today. David and I have always relied on your support. Oh, please. Here's a toast to you both, wishing you a lifetime of happiness and many children soon, a male classmate said with a laugh. Yeah, David and Sarah, we watched them grow up together. 7 years is a long time, truly not easy. They finally made it. A female classmate's eyes crinkled with a smile. Beauty and brains, right? Back in high school, David and Sarah were both big deals at our school. There were so many girls who liked David, they could circle the track. I wondered what kind of person could win David over, and turns out you two won each other over. You wouldn't know this, the male classmate teased. David liked Sarah back then. He was so nervous BF. Or he confessed, he came to me for advice. The private room was filled with memories of our relationship, everyone's faces beaming with smiles. Only Kimberly stood in the corner, expressionless, staring fixedly at David. David pretended not to see her, avoiding her gaze, his smile a little stiff. Come on, everyone, let's raise our glasses and wish this couple a long and happy life together. The class president raised his glass, and everyone followed suit. But Kimberly just stood there, unmoving, silent. The atmosphere became awkward for a moment. The class president quickly reminded her, raise your glass. Kimberly, what are you doing? Kimberly picked up a glass and, ignoring everyone else, drank it down in one gulp. She drank so quickly the liquid ran down her chin, making her face bright red and making her cough until tears streamed from her eyes. I wish you, Kimberly lifted her head, looking at David with desperate infatuation, her voice hoarse. 100 years of happiness. Saying this, she wiped her face and hurried out the door. The room fell silent, the previous liveliness and joy vanished, and the atmosphere became instantly heavy. Everyone knew our story. After a moment of silence, people started trying to smooth things over. Kimberly might have something to do. Come on, let's drink. But David beside me was staring blankly in the direction she left, as if he hadn't heard the class president. I bit my lower lip. David? He snapped back to reality, but didn't drink. He said anxiously, I'll go check on her. He pushed my hand away and rushed out after her. My love rival ran off crying, and my fiancé went after her. In the large private room, only I was still standing by the door, awkward and ridiculous. Now, the class president couldn't even smooth things over. A group of people watched me silently, waiting for my reaction. After a long while, I managed to force a smile. Everyone, please enjoy the food and drinks, before I could finish. Emily burst through the private room door, sweat dripping from her face, shouting, Sarah, come out and see. Kimberly is going to jump. The perfectly good engagement party turned into chaos. Everyone followed to see the spectacle. I lifted my dress and ran up to the rooftop on the 7th floor. Kimberly was sitting on the railing, the strong wind blowing her hair around wildly. Her makeup was smeared with tears, making her look even more unsightly. But David stood to the side, his fists clenched in anxiety, his face deathly pale. Kimberly, let's talk this through, just come down quickly. Kimberly glanced at him, letting the wind blow away the tears from the corners of her eyes, and laughed tremblingly. David, you're engaged. Are you very happy? David didn't say anything, just stared intently at her. The crowd that had gathered behind them started pointing and whispering, but Kimberly didn't care. She swung her legs and drifted into thought. David, I've liked you for 10 years. I liked you since high school. Back then, when the teacher assigned seats, because I was ugly, none of the boys wanted to sit with me. I stood there feeling so awkward, I just wanted to disappear into the ground. It was you who said you were willing to sit with me. At the time, I wondered, you're so handsome, and so many people like you, why would you be willing to sit with me? That's when I started liking you. David shouted, just come down first. Kimberly seemed not to hear. But why did you get together with Sarah? Is it just because she's prettier than me, better at school than me? But only I love you the most, David, I am the person in this world who loves you the most. I changed my college major and went to the same city as you for school. After graduation, I shamelessly pulled strings to find a job and finally managed to stay here. I thought maybe you would break up with Sarah, maybe then you would finally see me. But, why did you get engaged to her? Emily couldn't stand it anymore and shouted, "Are you crazy? They're engaged and you're still bothering him? Do you have no shame?" "Shut up!" David yelled back, a terrifying expression on his face I had never seen before. Emily was startled and looked at me silently. "Kimberly," he coaxed softly, "let's talk about it after you come down, okay? Please." His voice was so tender, familiar yet strange. Kimberly smiled slightly, looking at David, her white dress/gown fluttering in the wind. "David, I've loved you for 10 years, my life is completely filled with you. If I can't be with you, then I don't know what the point of living is. Now," she curved her lips, "I'm giving you a choice. Either be with me and end this engagement. Or," she gripped the railing, leaning back slightly, "just watch me die in front of you. If I can't be with you, then I'll make sure you remember me forever." The 7th floor wasn't very high, about 20 meters, but falling would basically be a death sentence. My hands, hanging by my sides, started trembling. I looked at David, begging him pleadingly, "David, please, don't." David turned back, a hint of guilt surfacing on his face. After a moment, he said, "I'm sorry, Sarah." Tears immediately welled up in my eyes. I said hoarsely, "Then what about me?" David lowered his head. "I'm sorry, but I can't just stand by and watch her die in front of me." I broke down, shouting, "Why do you care if she dies? You hated her, didn't you? We've been together for 7 years. She's cut her wrists, taken sleeping pills, jumped from buildings, I can't even count how many times. David, is Kimberly the only person who can feel pain and die? Am I not a person? Do I have to live my whole life enduring and sharing you with a third person?" Kimberly looked at my frantic state, her smile deepening. She looked like a winner with everything under control, watching the loser scream in futility. "David, do you really not like me?" She curved her lips. But her words were terrifying. "If you don't like me, then I'll just die." She made a move to let go. "I do!" David finally yelled, unable to hold back. The sound was like a long sealed valve bursting open, his emotions flooding out. "Yes, I like you, okay? I'm completely hooked on you, just come down. I'm not effing getting married. Are you happy now?" Classmates and friends were shocked, whispering and staring openly at the scene. But Kimberly laughed, tears streaming down her face, and reached out to David. David walked over without hesitation and took her hand. She immediately jumped down and pulled David, running frantically into the stairwell. David didn't hesitate. They disappeared from our sight quickly. The wind on the rooftop was strong, and there were quite a few people. We had invited many friends and classmates today. Dozens of people were gathered there, their faces showing various expressions. I just felt their gazes were unbearable. I wanted to escape, but my feet felt rooted to the spot, unable to move. After a while, everyone became awkward and started finding excuses to leave. Only Emily remained, asking worriedly, "Sarah, are you okay? Don't be upset. David might just be, maybe he's just too kind, he couldn't bear to watch Kimberly die, he didn't mean anything else." I said softly, "You go first, I want to be alone for a bit." "Okay then," she bit her lip, "don't do anything crazy. I'll be downstairs. Call me if you need anything." Now there was no one else on the rooftop, just me standing in the wind. It was strange, I didn't feel heartbroken. Perhaps I had anticipated this outcome for a long time. I just felt an emptiness inside, a sense of being adrift, which the wind seemed to blow right through. I stayed on the rooftop for a long time, letting the wind blow, until my hands and feet were numb with cold before I slowly came down. A server hurried over from the side. "Miss, your fiancé's phone was left here." My dry eyes shifted down. Wards, landing on the navy blue iPhone. "Okay, thank you." I rarely looked at David's phone during the many years we were together. We had been together for so long that we were like family, trusting each other completely. But now, I really wanted to see what was inside his phone. I opened the messaging app. There was only one pinned chat, and it wasn't mine. The profile picture belonged to a contact named My Annoying Sweetheart, which sounded incredibly affectionate. I recognized the profile picture. It was Kimberly. All the surrounding sounds faded away. I trembled as I tapped on that conversation. The chat history was very long, too long to scroll to the beginning. The earliest date was last year. Back then, David's attitude towards Kimberly was still very bad. His first message was, "Can you stop effing calling me? I already told you, I have a girlfriend, and I only like her. There's no way for us. Can you understand basic human language?" Kimberly replied, "But I just like you." David responded angrily, "You're an idiot." For a while after that, David didn't reply at all. It was just Kimberly sharing her life unilaterally. "Saw a little black cat on the way to work today. Its eyes were beautiful, but not as beautiful as yours. My supervisor is so annoying, he caused trouble for me again today. I get paid so little a month, and there's so much trouble. My colleagues took great photos at Disneyland. I really want to go with you too." She kept sending messages like this for a year, and David never replied once. I knew why he didn't block Kimberly. If he blocked her, she would just use different numbers to relentlessly add him. It was less hassle to just let her talk to herself. But a year later, things gradually changed. On the first day back after the new year, Kimberly sent a message, "I think I have pneumonia, it's pretty serious. The doctor said I need to be hospitalized, but I don't have enough money, so I'll just go home instead." 10 minutes later, David replied, "Are you sick in the head? You dare to delay treatment for pneumonia? How much do you need?" It was the first time he had responded to her. Kimberly was overjoyed. 6,000. What, are you going to lend it to me? David didn't say much, just directly transferred 6,000 yuan. Looking at the timeline, I suddenly remembered that at the beginning of the year, David had told me he made a mistake at work that month and had 6,000 yuan deducted from his performance bonus. At the time, we had a joint account where we both deposited our salaries and spent from it together. I had even comforted him, saying it was okay, everyone makes mistakes, just consider it paying for good luck. David had stared at me intently for a long time, then silently hugged me, holding me for a long time. I thought he was touched by how understanding I was. Looking back now, he was probably just feeling guilty. My fingers went cold, trembling for a long time before I could continue scrolling. It seemed that because she got a response, Kimberly started talking more, sharing everything from changing jobs and moving to what she ate that day, all with David. David replied rarely, but even an occasional reply would make her ecstatic. Gradually, David's replies became more frequent. When the temperature dropped, Kimberly reminded him, "It's snowing today, remember to wear more clothes." David replied, "Okay, you too." Kimberly, "My salary was deducted again this month, my supervisor is so annoying, he really just doesn't like me." David directly transferred 5,000 yuan. "If you need money, just say so. Don't always eat instant noodles." Kimberly, "I really want to go to Disneyland, will you go with me?" David, "I'm busy right now, maybe in a while." Later, he even started actively caring for her. "Is your supervisor still giving you a hard time? I have an internal referral spot here, why don't you come work for me? Did you buy clothes for the new year? I'll take you shopping. Did you buy your ticket back? Don't be so careless like before, you might not be able to get back. Be a good girl and eat. Are you having stomach pain again?" I looked at the chat history, my vision gradually blurring. He used to care about me like this too. When did our communication start to decrease? It turned out it wasn't that he was unwilling to share anymore, but that he had someone else he wanted to share with more. Over these 10 years, Kimberly had crept in like boiling a frog slowly, finally squeezing into David's heart. There were quite a few people in the hotel lobby/ballroom entrance, but this chat history had drained all my strength. I couldn't stand up anymore. A dull, tearing pain came from my heart. I slowly crouched down, covering my face and crying silently. In that instant, I understood everything. No wonder he was always so impatient with Kimberly in front of me, yet he always fulfilled her every request without limit. No wonder when Kimberly said she would kill herself, he really left me without hesitation and went with her. It turned out it wasn't that he had no choice, he just couldn't bear to see her upset. It turned out, he had already fallen for her. How could this happen? I cried, almost breaking down. We had been together for so many years, how could David betray me? He actually fell in love with her. What was I then? A joke in this touching 10-year love story? When I got home, it was already late. With swollen eyes, I returned to the apartment like a zombie. David was already back, sitting silently on the sofa. He looked up at me, his eyes complex, wanting to speak but hesitating. Sarah, he wanted to explain, but I didn't listen. I threw his phone at him. Seeing the phone, he understood everything. Sarah, I'm sorry, I really hated her before, he said, lowering his head. But she kept clinging to me, and after a while, I actually started to feel a little used to it. Sometimes when she didn't message, I felt like Summit. Hing was missing, he didn't finish. I curved my lips and interrupted him. Because I had just cried, my voice was still thick with a nasal tone. David, you're not seriously trying to tell me the story of your love with her, are you? Don't make me sick. That's enough. I wiped away the tears that had fallen, saying hoarsely, don't you just want to break up? I'll make it easy for you. I wanted to say something harsh, but my tears were uncontrollable, making me look pathetic. David stood up and looked at me, his expression pained. After a moment, he said softly, I'm sorry, Sarah. I let you down. Get out. I closed my eyes, hot tears tracing paths down my cheeks. David's things were already packed. He had come back just to break up with me. He didn't have many things. He left everything I had bought for him, grabbed a small suitcase, and closed the door behind him as he left. The sound of the door closing was dull. I suddenly couldn't hold it together anymore, sliding down the wall to the floor and bursting into tears. It hurt too much, it really hurt. For the past 7 years, I had never for a moment doubted that we wouldn't be together. My entire future included David. I imagined marrying him, having children with him, and walking hand in hand for a long, long time. I always thought he felt the same way, but I never expected his heart had already drifted away. In this love game involving 3 people, I was the only one who lost completely. Kimberly's 10 years of unrequited love had finally come true, and she was so happy she wanted to announce it to the world. She almost impatiently posted a photo of the 2 of them. In the photo, they were looking at each other, one handsome, one plain, but there was a strange harmony, probably because their eyes were filled with deep affection. Time will tell you who the right person is, she said. Kimberly went to David's company/office. They went to Disneyland together, kissed in front of the castle, and hugged. Ed and were intimate in a hotel. David took her to look at wedding dresses. I don't know if it was a coincidence, but Kimberly chose the same place I had chosen before, and even the wedding dress was the one I had set my heart on. Her social media feed was like a love diary, wanting to tell everyone how passionate and grand their delayed 10-year love was. I watched for a while with a blank expression, then deleted and blocked them both. These 7 years, I'll consider it a dream. But this dream had a lingering effect. Betrayal by a partner of 7 years was a pain deeper than just breaking up. Especially since the object of his betrayal was Kimberly, a woman I considered ugly and utterly useless. So this pain was mixed with self-doubt. I lost all my confidence and started doubting if I was as good as I always thought. If I was really better than Kimberly, why would David abandon me and run to her? This was a difficult process to get through. We had been together for too long, been to too many places, shared too many life experiences. The movies we watched together, the songs we listened to, the flower shop around the corner where he once bought me flowers. Every little detail was tearing at my shattered heart. I went to see a movie by myself. At first, I laughed like an idiot, then I cried like an idiot. I didn't know what was wrong with me, my heart felt like it had a mind of its own, hurting so much. But I was helpless, I could only wait for the wound to heal on its own. When I got home that evening, I saw someone squatting by my door on the way upstairs. I was startled. I looked closer and realized it was David. But he had changed so much that I didn't recognize him for a moment. In just a few days, he was thinner than before, with large dark circles under his eyes and stubble on his face. He looked like someone whose life force had been drained. Hearing my footsteps, he turned his head woodenly. Before he could say anything, tears fell from his bloodshot eyes. My heart ached, but I kept my face cold. What are you doing here? David's voice was hoarse, like it had been scraped with sandpaper. Sarah, his eyes were red. If I say I regret it now, would that be too shameless? I looked down at him. You know it is. But, he slowly wrapped his stiff arms around his head, sobbing. But I really regret it, I regret it so much. I had everything, but why did it turn out like this? After all, I had truly loved him. His words brought tears to my own eyes. But I held back and said softly, you chose this yourself, didn't you? I begged you once, but you still abandoned me and chose her. David's voice sounded like it was mixed with blood, filled with unbearable pain. I saw that his hands gripping his head were pale, the veins on the back of his hands bulging. She chased me like that. At first, I really hated her, but I don't know when, I started feeling a little touched. She loved me so wholeheartedly, I started feeling a little sorry for her, and I couldn't help but respond to her. Later, I thought I liked her, but after we were together, I realized I didn't. What I thought was love was just being touched, and being touched can't turn into love. After we were together, she seemed like a completely different person. She watched me very closely, checking my phone every day. She deleted all the women contacts from my messaging app. She called my female colleagues and warned them to stay away from me, and cursed at my male colleagues, telling them not to take me out. He choked, unable to speak. That's when I realized I didn't like her at all. I used to feel pity for her, but gradually, just seeing her face started making me irritable. I didn't even want to stay at home for an extra minute. After work, I would sit in my car for a long time before I could muster the courage to go home. He seemed like he had been holding it in for a long time and needed someone to tell, confessing in a broken voice. I wanted to break up, but she wouldn't allow it. She always threatened me. But I never expected it would actually turn out like this. I didn't want it. What should I do? He cried out in anguish, his body trembling like a bough about to snap. I regret it so much. I had everything. Why was I so foolish? If we hadn't broken up, we'd probably be married now. We were together for so long, I imagined you in a wedding dress so many times, he cried until his voice was hoarse. I thought I would be heartbroken, but I only had one thought in my mind. He looked more miserable crying now than I did when I lost him. You're finally feeling it, aren't you? My pain. David didn't seem to need my response, he just couldn't hold it in anymore and needed someone to confide in. After a long while, he looked up, his eyes red and swollen, with a hint of humble pleading and caution. Sarah, can we? No, I cut him off coldly. What do you think I am? A garbage collector? David's face turned instantly pale. Move, I said expressionlessly, I'm going home. I gave you too many chances, but each time, you chose Kimberly. You chose your path, now you have to bear the consequences yourself. David was silent for a moment, then swayed as he slowly stood up, leaning against the wall. A miserable smile twisted his lips. You're right. Saying this now, even I feel disgusting. But I had to ask, or I would always feel unsatisfied. The motion sensor light in the stairwell went dark after a moment of silence, the stairwell filled with shadows. David slowly walked down the stairs. As he reached the last step, he turned back. Behind him was the vast, endless night. Sarah, he said, I'm a bastard. I'm getting what I deserve now. I brought this upon myself. But you are good. His voice was laced with tears. Don't be sad because of me. You will meet someone 1,000, 10,000 times better than me. Saying this, he turned and left. I watched his retreating back, speechless. For a long time. After that, I never heard from David again. I don't know if he took Kimberly and left, or what happened. I didn't care anymore. I gradually moved on. Looking back, mostly what remained was a sense of wistful reflection. The past 7 years felt like a dream. The first half was sweet, the second half was unbearably bitter. But no matter what, the dream was over now. And I had to keep moving forward. Placing a bunch of lilies on Grandma's grave, I stood up and said softly, "Grandma, I'm doing well now. Please don't worry about me." The cemetery/graveyard was quiet, only the sound of the wind swirling past my ears. Deep winter had passed, and the early spring flowers around the cemetery/graveyard were already pushing out eager new buds. I wrapped my coat tighter and walked away. Winter was over. Spring was coming.